Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Why Enlightened Beings are Very Few on Earth. Charlie Chaplin, Agony, Sadhguru, Adiyogi. So on the thing it says not 99.9% not enlightened and enlightened 0.1%, which is actually 0.1% amazingly is still really high. I was gonna do a calculator of what 0.1% of 7 billion would be. 7 billion, 8 billion, just say 8 billion for the sake of argument. 8 billion. I don't know how to do that. But let me try guessing. It's 8 billion, 800,000, 80,000, 8,000. Is it 8,000? Now I have to find out. But yeah, 0.1%. Amazingly, that is still pretty high. That's 8 million. That's 8 billion times... No, wait, that's 0.1%. Okay. Yeah. No, that's 8 million. Oh, I skipped accidentally. 8 billion. 8 billion, 800 million, 80 million, 8,000. I'm sorry, 8 million. I can't math right. But yeah, I was right. 8 million beings. It's 0.1%. So I was right. I'm good. I just accidentally somehow skipped over 2000s right away. Anyway, I would even say 0.1%. Probably a lot lower than that. Anyway, let's go get started.
In a very brief amount of time, one can realize this contradiction or this complementary nature of these two things can go on playing endlessly upon you without taking you anywhere. When you realize that the physical will not get you anywhere, that is when you turn spiritual. People always thought Charlie Chaplin was very funny. But if you listen to his private talks and things like that, there was a deep sense of agony, yeah, in him.
I mean, what it says is very much true.
So…
real quick, what it says is very much true. It's something definitely the Western world is miles ahead on, in my opinion, about like external features. Let me turn on that feature. External excitement, enjoyment, pleasures. I guess that's a good way. External pleasures. Western world's got that nailed. You know, they're inventing and whatnot, and but it won't gain you genuine happiness. One of the commenters said that, which I love what the commenter said in one of my videos a while back was, if you want external success, look at the West. If you want internal success, look at the East. And when you think about it, it's very much true. You know, a lot of people are coming to the West for success in terms of business and external things, but does it make you happy? Like, I think, again, a balance of both is going to be great. Have internal and external success. Best of both worlds. Why not both?
This is, not my time of the day. It's really early in the morning. This is my time to be plugged into the matrix, to be in the rat race, achieve, acquire. And then something happens to me after midnight when the day is over. I become really relaxed. And then, like, I have these existential thoughts and I start thinking about other things. And this thing always fascinates me. I find the universe to be in some kind of dichotomy. I want you to explain that to me. Now, I know you can elaborate on it because I've seen you talk for so long on YouTube. I know you will tell me something. I've never been able to figure it out.
See, I never said your movie was too long.
Sir, you'll have to take it up with Mr. Bansali. मैंने तो कहा था.
No.
उनके scenes काटो, मेरे scenes डालो, मैंने तो कहा था. So, there's light, darkness, black, white, yes, no. Life, death. I always find the universe to be in some kind of dichotomy,
I'm not sure what his question is, but yeah, if you look at the extremes, it is in terms of two things. But I guess the gray area in the middle is what we make of life. I'm trying to be smart here. Let me know if I'm doing okay. But yeah, it there's a beginning and there's an end to everything in the transactional reality or objective reality, and I'm mostly speaking in terms of material realm, but objective or transactional reality. But it's everything in the middle between those two finite things is what there's an infinite possibilities, infinite things you can do, and that is where you make your grandstand or your great achievements or whatever it may be. There's life, then there's death, and everything in the middle, that's you. You cannot control when you're born, you cannot control when you'll die, but in that middle, that's all you. Probably not what he's talking about, but I thought I'd throw that out there.
Is that the sense in which
But
you're talking
is
about?
it like, do you find that too?
No,
Like-
I want to understand in what sense are you calling it as a dichotomy?
like whatever, like when I have these thoughts, I'm like, there's always two things at play, you know, in every aspect of life, big, small, there's always an opposite. Is like, can you elaborate on that?
I need a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
भारी सवाल पूछा है भाई ने.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm still not completely understanding what he's saying. I guess if I were to say something, it'd be along the lines of the fact there's extreme opposites of everything, but everything in the, I don't know, I'm saying the same thing essentially, but everything in the middle is how you, I guess, how you take it in a sense, and how you go about it, whether it's yes or no or life and death. That makes no sense at all. I can't wait to hear how Sadhguru answered this one, because I'm still kind of confused about what he said.
About, before coming to the dichotomy, the very way you're characterizing yourself and the question that you're asking itself is a dichotomy. People always thought Charlie Chaplin was very funny. But if you listen to his private talks and things like that, there was a deep sense of agony in him.
He was especially sensitive to the agonies of life.
Yes.
What an artist.
But when you see him on the screen, he just made it just so ridiculously funny, hilarious all the time. Everything, every step, every act, not just some act, just every step and every act is hilarious. If you sit in front of… if you sit watching a Charlie Chaplin movie, you don't laugh at a particular thing, you just laugh at everything. So because there was such a deep agony, he decided, instead of sharing this agony with people, he decided at least he'll make them laugh, and because somewhere he understands this agony could exist in a whole lot of people, in different measure, of course. So when we say dichotomy, we're talking about contradictions. You said light and darkness, let's take that because that's a very basic, day and night, light and darkness. There are many ways to look at this. One fundamental way is like this. There is light right now. You know there is light right now only because you have seen darkness. Suppose, let us say, 24 hours of the day, everything from your childhood, everything was lit, you would not know what is light. So you know light only because in some way you have tasted darkness. You know what is white only because you've seen the black. You know what is a man only because you've seen a woman. You know what's a day only because you've seen a night. So, what seems to be contradictory on the logical level of your mind, in terms of making of life, they're complementary to each other. They're working with each other but pretending to be opposite to each other. This is why in this culture, everywhere in the world, not just here, In one way or the other, they figured this and they made it in so many ways. They called it yin and yang, here we called it Shiva Shakti. And if you see the images of Shiva, one half of him is man, another half of him is woman, physically. Because what is being depicted here is, this is the nature of physical existence. As long as your experience of life is limited to physical, when I say physical, right now everything that you can see has to be physical, isn't it so? Can you see something that's not physical? Can you hear something that's not physical? Can you smell, taste or touch that which is not physical? Or in other words, your entire experience of life is physical, even your thought and emotion is physical. We can measure it today. We can measure your thought and emotion, that means it's physical. So your whole experience of life is limited to the physical dimension of the existence. And the very nature of physicality can only happen with this. Even if you take the basic electric charges, there is a positive and a negative. Without that, it will not work. If you take an atom, there are positives and negatives. So the very construction of physical nature is between two opposites or two complementary dimensions of life.
Interesting. I would have never thought of it complementary, but definitely opposite. I guess I would also throw in there that to give us a bit of a perspective, considering that he says you don't know what light is until you've seen darkness. You don't know what cold is until you've seen heat. Until you see heat, you don't know what cold is. Feel heat. You know, you don't know what day is without night. You don't know what contrasting things. And I guess I'd like to throw in there that I guess what he's saying here is complementary. It's the fact that they give us perspective on things because we don't understand one without the other, yin and yang.
So when you live here, if you live here with the necessary perception, in a very brief amount of time, one can realize this contradiction or this complementary nature of these two things can go on playing endlessly upon you without taking you anywhere. When you realize that the physical will not get you anywhere, that is when you turn spiritual. It does not mean you rejected the physical. You're still living in the body, you're still living in this world. It is physical, but this is the longing of every human being. It's not just some spiritual person. Every human being is trying to touch something beyond what they are right now.
I wonder, real quick, would he consider the physical life and the spiritual life a dichotomy, as in they're complementary of each other? That'd be an interesting way of looking at. Then this would go to what I always say. I try to think of things in balances, never one extreme or another. And this is how I try to balance the materialistic world, Advaita Vedanta, and how I've learned things thus far. I like to think of myself as somewhere in the middle between those two, where I do believe in the physical realities, but I also do believe in a lot of what Advaita Vedanta teaches, that even to say like everything's pure consciousness. Everything is Brahman that appears in Brahman. That's very difficult for me to explain because I don't want to misspeak it, but just I hope everything's understood though. But I wonder if he would say that. I wonder if he'll say it a little bit later on.
If you know money, you're just thinking more money. If you know power, you're thinking more power. If you know pleasure, you're thinking more pleasure. If you know love, more love. If you know knowledge, more knowledge. Whatever it is, you're always trying to touch something more. If it finds this longing to become something more, if it finds a very basic physical expression, we call this sexuality. All you're trying to do is be something more than what you are. Something that's not you, you're trying to make it a part of yourself. If it finds an emotional expression, we call this love. Once again, emotionally you're trying to make something that is not you as a part of yourself. If it finds a mental expression, it gets labeled as greed, ambition, conquest, or simply shopping. Something that's not you, you're trying to make it yourself. But if it finds a conscious expression, then we call it yoga. Yoga means union. Yoga doesn't mean twisting and turning. Yoga means union. Why do you have to know union? Because that's the nature of the existence. On the surface, it seems contradictory. If you go deep enough, suddenly it is not contradictory. There is a union. What is physical about you is fully accumulated from outside. Even the first two cells was given to you by somebody, isn't it? Hello? Even the first two cells are not yours, your parents gave it to you, rest of it is just earth. Most people don't get it till you bury them. But if you get it right now, that what you're carrying as my body is just a piece of the planet. What you're carrying as my mind is just what you gathered from the society in which you exist. Beyond this, there is something called life. This must come into your experience. If that comes into your experience, this dichotomy business is gone, because this contradictory nature or complementary nature of opposites is only related to the physical existence. Physical is like the peel of a fruit. The peel of the fruit is there only as a protective layer. But right now we have made a world where people are busy eating the peel. But the problem with the peel is, if it was totally bitter, by now everybody would be enlightened. The problem is there are spots of sweetness in the peel. People are trying to make juice out of that.
Interesting. Dichotomy. Why enlightened beings are very few on Earth? Was the question answered? Charlie Chaplin agony. It seems like more of answering this question of a dichotomy in life. And I do wonder, let me know in the comments if you care to answer, do you think life and spirituality is a dichotomy itself? Complete opposites in terms of, I guess you could say, the physical and the spiritual, the material and the immaterial. And you can also look at external happiness and internal happiness, perhaps, which I guess could be explained that way. But they're complementary in nature, as Sadhguru says, which I do like. I genuinely do, because I like a balance. I don't want, generally speaking, I don't want people to think that that the ultimate life is, you know, enlightenment and just to forget the physical world, but to have a balance of both, to understand that even if enlightenment's true liberation, you must still be conscious of this life here, not to just discard it. Just because you discovered the truth doesn't mean you should just discard this life, this reality either. Play it out. Have a balance. That's what I'm trying to learn myself. And also, of course, obviously seeking truth. And the truth through experience, and not just believing. I'm sorry, I was distracted by that alien life story of Shiva. Kailash. The far left picture looks like the aliens. That's interesting. Anyway, it's just my reaction to why enlightened beings are very few on Earth. Charlie Chaplin, agony, Sadhguru, Adiyogi. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.